just want to say that Rima Khalaf is a hero to me now. I don't have many heroes, but I think what she has done by taking a public stand against the corruption at the United Nations and the corruption of Antonio Guterres is incredible. It's exactly what the world needs to see, that the United Nations is a politically motivated body, that the leader of the United Nations was placed there by the governments who are destroying, who are complicit in alliances who destroy, and that they, although the organisation should be there to protect human rights and to protect the environment and to protect everything that populations require to have quality of life and protection, it is not acting in that capacity. It is deeply, deeply corrupt. And that without it acting as a protector for populations and ecosystems, the world is seriously deficient of justice. We've got a situation where she is saying that, and I mean, I think this is universally agreed, there is no facts within the report that can be rebuffed. It is completely accurate. Those violations do exist, and whilst it may be occurring within a country where a lot of people passionately support Israel and a lot of people don't, but it's a very controversial country, I guess. But the fact is that regardless of the country and its reputation, those human rights violations exist and must be addressed honestly. And the United Nations is the body that should do that job. We should be able to trust in its power to protect us, but we can't at the moment because it's deeply, deeply corrupt. And Antonio Guterres has demonstrated complete weakness and a complete failure of leadership at the highest level. So I think Rima Khalaf is now an absolute hero for making this publicly stating it, and for resigning. And what it triggers for me is my concern that in December the United Nations created itself as sort of a new judicial force where now the politicians get to preside over judgment of their own crimes by investigating the Syrian war. And the fact is that war is created by government forces who have been hiring illegal militants and arming those militants to go in and illegally aggress Syria in order to take power, to take resource, to take territorial control, whatever their objective. But this is a criminal act by politicians, and those politicians then have their PR departments in the United Nations speaking a completely alternative narrative to the truth. And the fact that they are now in charge of judging their own actions and reporting on it, whilst we have this example which clearly demonstrates how they are not accurate, they are not willing to accurately report. They will not state the truth when it disturbs whoever is the most powerful political force within the UN at that time, which probably comes down to finances. Whoever is offering the most money at that time, will they withdraw their payment support if the UN leader doesn't do as he's told, in which case the UN is not an authentic, transparent body, which it wasn't at the time of my UN campaign last year anyway, where I was totally able to run as an independent candidate, and the spokesperson for the President of the General Assembly encouraged my nomination, and then once it came through and got stuck internally with whoever it was discussed with, it was shut down, which was corruption. In fact, it was election fraud, and it also means that Antonio Guterres is not authentically in that position. But the fact is that he is, and Rima Khalaf has come out stating that he is totally corrupt in the most polite, beautiful way possible in her letter, but it leaves very little to the imagination. She has said that as a sane human being, she would not withdraw the report on violations of human rights of Israel being an apartheid state at the moment based on those facts. And that infers that Antonio Guterres is not acting as a sane human being in his position of leadership at the UN. And it certainly confirms that there is no way the United Nations should be in charge of recording or investigating or reporting the facts of the Syrian war. It would be a complete miscarriage of justice. The United Nations have a judicial body, it's the International Criminal Court, and they should be the force who investigate this crime, and they have my legal argument under review currently for 6 months now, which allows them to transition from that review to an investigation at any time, to record the facts of the Syrian war accurately and to not let the politicians decide their own fate and rewrite the truth.